Hello, my name is Brian Agmar. I'm the clinical coordinator for respiratory care here at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. And today we're going to kind of go over some home ventilators and how to actually transition them into for EMS to get them prepared to go to the hospital. So typically you're going to be coming in, you might see the patient in their own bed and the portable ventilator sitting at the side. The biggest thing is they'll have a humidifier with them at home. This will probably need to be DC'd when we're going to transfer over to the stretcher and be prepared for EMS to take them to the hospital. So we go through some of those stages. First thing to always do is when you come in is always survey the scene, look at your patient. Make sure they're ventilating well. When you hear the ventilator cycling and you actually see the pressure go across, look at the patient, see if you're having good chest rise. Also listening. If they're not having good chest rise, and by listening or seeing that, I would always suggest either have the parents' ambu bag if they have it at home, or get your own ambu bag out. We can at least bag the patient so you can see how the patient is doing. The biggest thing is when you transfer, you're going to have to get rid of the humidifier. So that means we're going to need to get rid of the dry line, and we need to replace this line up to the top. This can be done several ways. If the parents have little caps that can go in here, we could take the temp probe out. A lot of times the easiest way, what I tell a lot of EMSs, is just disconnect the wire from the humidifier, and that way it can go. That would be the temp probe. This is the heater wire that'll need to be disconnected. We can just let that go. At that point, we're disconnected. We could go. You don't have to worry about replacing the cap in there. It keeps the circuit intact. You'll need to take it off the humidifier. Pull the dry line off and replace it on there. Like you just heard, the vent will probably alarm for a second, but once you get it put back on, always, once again, make sure the ventilator is ventilating properly, and always look at your patient. The next thing we really need to think about is talking to the parents if the patient is on oxygen or not. All home ventilators will have an oxygen port of some type. It could be in the back of the machine, or sometimes they're on the side of the machine. This will just use your standard oxygen flow meter. It might be on a concentrator at home, but for you, for EMS, we are just going to take that off, and we'll hook it straight up to our E or D tank and set it at the same flow that the parents were doing. This will break off, just the position it's at can break. If that happens to you, we can actually take a standard acorn neb with a standard T adapter, place it in line. You do not need to put saline in here because we're just going to be using this as oxygen. You can hook that up to your tank to run your 2 to 3 liters, and then we'll disconnect, place it on here, and then you can run your 2 to 3 liters and it'll give you oxygen. That is a good MacGyver method.
Yeah.
Ask the parents. There are some of these ventilators, like the Trilogy, that can only have 15 liters bled into them. There are some other home machines that can actually go up to 80 liters. So just always ask the parents, what's the maximum that we can bleed into that. Once we have all that disconnected, you can just unhook the power source. And almost every home vent will have some type of stand that it'll just slide right off. So we now have the patient ready to be traveled. So that's when we can bring our stretcher in and we prepare our patient to be moved over to the stretcher. So we're getting the patient ready to go over to the stretcher. You always want to make sure you have some type of patient securing device. It could be either the car seat or like one of these PDMAs, whatever your protocol says for your department. So you just need to have the child restrained in some manner to make it safe for them. So as we get ready to go, we'll have the ventilator unplugged. You can have your oxygen hooked up to your tank. You also want to talk to the parents about having their go bag with them. Almost every patient sent from any of the St. Louis hospitals will have a go bag. It'll keep the extra trachs in there. They'll have usually ambu bags, suction catheters, and a lot of the important information that will tell you about the patient. So always make sure you grab that bag to be able to go with you. What I like to do, especially if this is on the other side of the bed, is when you're moving the patient, to make sure we don't dislodge a trach, and sometimes disconnect the ventilator before we move. You don't always have to. You're only going to probably miss about 1-2 breaths at the most. So it'll be very short to get them over here. Or the other thing, if you are moving, have one person that's going to solely be responsible for holding the trach and the vent tubing. What I usually like to do is we'll disconnect the patient. Gently scoop them up. We'll get them onto the stretcher. While your partner is watching them so they don't roll off, we'll hook them back up to the ventilator. Here's a good time that maybe you want to secure it by using some tape or something to help hold it while you get them positioned. You want to put their seatbelts on underneath the trach and the vent tubing. Once you get them secured and situated, make sure your vent is still working properly, watching that pressure manometer go up and down. Watch the patient with that every breath. Make sure we have good chest rise, and also you want to oscillate to listen to your patient. Once we're ready from there, you can remove the ventilator from the stand. We do need to keep it sitting upright. So usually the best way to secure that would be at the end of your stretcher, and use a seat belt through there to help hold it. This type of ventilator does not work very well laying on its side or its face, so we do need to keep it in a sitting upright position. Yep. Got no slack there. So that'll be nice and secured. That way, if you do have a quick emergency stop, it'll at least keep the ventilator from going flying. So.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys later. Yeah, right out here, huh, bud?
Thank goodness.
Whoa.
Very good.
So some of your patients might have what we call as a travel vent or a go vent. So sometimes if parents have called EMS, they'll have this ready to go for you. So if you come in and you see the ventilator sitting on the bedside table or even over on a bookshelf and there is no heatering thing connected to it, the parent will have everything ready to go. So you won't have to worry about disconnecting any of the wires or actually doing any of the plugs. The parents will have those all plugged up for you. So when there, if you're ready to go, what you'll need to do is just unplug your power source and actually disconnect your oxygen, and you'll be ready to go with that ventilator. Always make sure you bring the power source with you. Most of these batteries will have anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of battery life if they are fully charged. Sometimes we all forget to leave our phones or ventilators plugged in, so it's always good to make sure you bring the power cord with you. If you're ever worried about the battery, you can actually pull this battery out here. It's kind of like some of the life packs and stuff that you're used to. You just pull that up. The battery comes out. We can actually push the battery, and you'll actually see it is fully charged. And then just and just remember, when any vent you put on the patient, you always want to recheck it. Always look at the patient before moving, after moving, and make sure they're ventilating well. First thing, if you come into the patient, you don't see good chest movement, it could be several things. One, the ventilator's not ventilating. We have a leak in the circuit. Could be those plugs have come off. Could be that the circuit accidentally got disconnected. Or the biggest thing is, a lot of times with these trach patients, they might get occluded or they've plugged off their trach. If you see the ventilator cycling like it is now, getting some pressure is usually going to be in the 20s or higher, and you do not see good chest movement, first thing we do is ask the parents if they suction lately, and we can suction the patient. Also at that time, what I would suggest, if they don't look like they're ventilating well, is disconnect the patient and try hand bagging them. If you're not getting good chest movement with hand bagging, then we might have a plug. Talk to the parents about doing a trach change. They're going to be your best source of information in helping you change that trach. Once you get it in, once you remove the trach and get it back in, you always want to oscillate and look to see if you're having good chest rise. So like you're saying, it is good to put it in line, see if we're getting waveforms.
Mm-hmm.
That number, having it the closest is usually going to be the most accurate. If you have it too far back by the exhalation filter, you might be getting a lot more of the rebreathing CO2. Okay. Once you've accomplished that, we can always reconnect the patient to our ventilator. Once again, make sure we're ventilating well, having the pressure manometer here come up into probably at least the 20s, and then look and listen to your patient.